They'd told him the jungle wasn't just alive, it was aware. He'd laughed, brushed off their warnings as superstitious nonsense. After all, it was just a jungle, a wall of green separating him from his research outpost. But when you're desperate, trying to find a path home, you don't listen. You survive. Now daylight barely broke through the thick canopy above as he pushed deeper into the overgrown maze. Every step tangled his legs further. Vines wrapped around his boots like they meant to hold him. Sweat beaded on his forehead, stinging his eyes as he hacked away at the undergrowth. Each swing of the machete should have been a victory, each snap of a twig or rustle of leaves a reassurance that he was making progress. But there was no such comfort here. All he heard was the unsettling symphony of the jungle, a chorus of chirps and buzzes that seemed to mock his struggle. It had been 3 days since the storm had knocked out the power to his research outpost. 3 days of dwindling food supplies and mounting panic. When he realized the generators wouldn't be fixed for another week, he'd decided to brave the jungle, trusting his machete would carve a path to safety. But now the dense foliage pressed against him, a living, breathing barrier that seemed determined to keep him trapped. Then his blade found purchase. He plunged the machete deep into the tangled mass, expecting the familiar snap of breaking wood. But the sound wasn't what he expected, not the clean snap of wood or the rustle of leaves. Instead, a wet, sickening slice, a splash, then dripping. At first he thought it was sap, but as the thick, dark liquid ran down his blade and onto his trembling hands, he knew. It was blood. Fear squeezed his heart, making it pound so loud he was sure the entire jungle could hear it. The vines quivered as if they'd felt the pain. And in that moment, the jungle went dead silent. No birds, no insects, just the soft patter of the bleeding vines. Terror flooded him, paralyzing him with an ice-cold grip. He tried to move, but the vines tightened around his ankles, anchoring him to the spot. The more he struggled, the more the vines seemed to pull, wrapping higher and higher, as if trying to drag him down. Panic surging through him, he kicked wildly, slashing out with the machete, sending another geyser of blood spraying into the air. This time, the ground beneath his feet darkened, soaking up the strange fluid. A metallic scent filled the air, heavy and suffocating. Suddenly, the vines began to twitch, not with the wind, but with intent. They recoiled, then lunged. One lashed across his arm, leaving a burning welt. Another coiled around his wrist, yanking the blade from his grip. His breath came fast, ragged. He had to think, had to act. He stopped fighting, stood still. The vines paused, as if waiting. Then slowly, ever so slowly, he reached down, hand shaking, and touched the wounded vine. Warmth pulsed beneath the bark. A heartbeat. A connection. In that instant, the jungle came alive with sound. The birds returned to their chorus, the insects resumed their buzz. The world he'd silenced throbbed back into existence around him. And he understood. He whispered. He begged for release. For forgiveness. The jungle listened. The vines loosened their grip, slipping from his body like water. He fell to his knees, gasping, tears mixing with sweat and blood. He didn't know if he'd been spared or warned. When rescuers finally found him days later, he said nothing at first, but when he spoke, his voice broke. "The jungle bleeds," he murmured, his gaze distant. "And I made it bleed first." The question was why? Why had the jungle attacked him? What had he awakened? And how deep did the wound go? Was it just a warning? Or was something far more sinister at play? The answers lay hidden in the heart of the jungle, shrouded by the secrets of the ancient vines.